your time.
Sounds great, thanks.
We're doing great so far with time, so it's good.
Welcome to the morning flame session. I was pulled into this at the last minute by Dripa, and he said, get up there, talk about something. So here I am obliging you all. I've been part of the freedom movement in the last 2 years, ever since Ron Paul announced his candidacy. And I've been very enthused about that because he's been on my radar for many years. I had a political epiphany some 10, 20 years ago when I realized that not everything was what it appeared to be. There was, in fact, a veil that was thrown up in front of us purposefully by government, and especially by those who control the government, namely the people behind both major political parties. And I realized that there needed to be something to be done about that. And so I got very involved. And particularly with the Ron Paul campaign, that's how I know a lot of you folks from those activist days up in Concord. And I just wanted to expound upon some of the ideas that I've seen, which I think are very beneficial to the movement, which I like to call the American freedom movement. I think that that is a very good way of collectively describing all these great grassroots efforts. So much so that I've gone to the length that I am going to put up a website called theamericanfreedommovement.com, which you will see in forthcoming days, weeks, months, depending on how much help I have to work on that big effort. And unfortunately, not having any prepared slides, I'll just have to talk off the top of my head. One topic that I especially like to talk about is the Constitution. Ron Paul likes to emphasize that. He likes to emphasize a strict constructivist interpretation of the Constitution. And most people believe that the Constitution is viable as is to ensure our liberties. But I've been very strongly influenced by Boston Tea Party's thesis in his hologram of liberty, in which he says that the Constitution was purposefully rigged to deny us our fundamental rights, the ones that were here from 1776, 1787, when it was conceived. And particularly the Federalists, led by Alexander Hamilton, staged a cabal to ensure that the Constitution appeared to be a vehicle of ensuring liberty, whereas it did not, in fact, do that. In fact, Alexander Hamilton ensconced himself in the process throughout, sponsoring many initiatives to ensure that there were very weak clauses, and I point out some of the weak clauses like the necessary and proper clause, the general welfare clause, and the interstate commerce clause, in addition to the Treaty Act, as being extraordinarily weak. He was in the he was part of the Committee of Style, which ensured that all the crafting of every single word, all the way down to the punctuation, the periods, and the semicolons and the commas, were done in favor of government growing without bound. I call those little weaknesses Easter eggs because the Federalists planted them there in the Constitution such that later on, after the ratification process was done, they would rediscover it, and lo and behold, oh, suddenly a government can grow without bounds. That's exactly what Alexander Hamilton did once he regained power with the new Washington administration as Secretary of the Treasury. He ensured that government grew basically without bound, according to his nationalistic view of how the United States should progress. Where does that leave us? Well, it doesn't leave us in very good stead. The ways of getting around the Constitution are extremely limited. And as you know, in the last few years, the government has reached a level where it is regulating everything from A to Z. And it has its hands in everything: Department of Education, Department of Energy. There's so many bureaucracies and so few things that we're able to do anymore. The feds can come in and do basically anything they want. And you know what? That is the Constitution. Unfortunately, the Constitution that we think we live under is but a worthless parchment. We live in a dreamland. This Constitution that we want, that we think should exist by a strict constructivist argument, doesn't exist. And what's the good thing about it? The good thing is states' rights. Committees of safety, that's a great thing to work on. You know, the state militia, you can work through the existing mechanism of state constitutions to ensure our safety, ensure a sound money supply, and ensure transparent voting. I think that is a great project, and I thank all of you in the Free State Project for working here in New Hampshire for a free New Hampshire. Thank you very much.